stands out. Tajay Spears, Taysom Hill, some notable players that could come in and help their teams. These teams have 21 days in which to have these players practice and then decide whether or not to activate them. But the fact that they began practicing this week certainly is an encouraging sign that all will return.
Yeah, Jonathan Mingo at the bottom of that list with CeeDee Lamb out. You got to try to get him back as soon as they can for the Cowboys. All right. That was Injury Live. Let's go on to On Trend around the NFL. We're going to start with last week's debut of Jackson Dart. Dart kept it short against the Chargers. 16 of his 20 pass attempts going 10 or fewer yards through the air. 4 of his 6 first downs on Sunday came on those throws. So did also his only passing touchdown. Dan, does that trend continue this week in New Orleans?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Part of it is just the playing style that this offense has to play in. There's not really a deep threat outside of Malik Neighbors. Slayton's a good player. Wan'Dale Robinson works the middle of the field a little bit more. Theo Johnson. I love how Dart worked the middle of the field and played fast. So that's part of who they have to be offensively. It's also a little bit, if you watch this Saints defense, what they try to do. They're not going to give you a ton of shots down the field. You got to be very disciplined and methodical in how you do it. That's how Jackson Dart has to play this week.
On Trend continues with Xavier Worthy. Patrick Mahomes looking for his returning target in week 4, averaged over 16 air yards per target, a career high in any game that Worthy's had at least one reception, including the playoffs. J-Mac, does the deep passing game continue for Worthy this week on Monday Night Football against the Jags?
I don't believe so. They played the Baltimore Ravens, and their defense has become a stat game for every team that they go against. I'm looking at this Jacksonville Jaguars defense led by defensive coordinator Anthony Campanelli. He prides this defense on aggression and violence, but they also play with a ton of too high shell, and that's playing cover 4, cover 6, doing different things to limit the big plays. The issue is when they get there, they are wreaking havoc, punching at the ball and intercepting passes.
Let's go to the Patriots. Drake May has completed 75% of his passes in 3 straight games, one shy of tying the longest streak within a season in NFL history, which is held by Tom Brady in that undefeated 2007 season. May's numbers across the board rank top 5 in the NFL since week 2, and he leads in completion percentage. Dan, why has that been a trend in recent weeks for May?
Yeah, I think number one is the sequencing of plays for their offense is really good, and that's why Josh McDaniels is so special.
Yeah.
But I do think the 2 things to pay attention to in this game is the sets of 2s that they deploy on offenses or defenses. Number one, the sets of 2 tight ends.
Okay.
Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper, big deal. And they're diversified in how they use them. Like sometimes it's mainly to run the football, sometimes they pull them. And then their 2 sets of 2 running backs. I think their pony personnel stuff is so good. Sometimes it's Antonio Gibson lined up as a wide receiver, but actually getting the handoff. Sometimes it's putting a Henderson as a wide receiver, but he's actually a running back and giving him the reverse. And so those tight ends that I talked about and the way that they might use them in their screen game, J-Mac, for me, I just think the different ways that they deploy those different kind of unique personnels are such a big deal.
And that's what Josh McDaniels is so good at. You're talking about the pony personnel. Even within that, there was a moment where they had a running back on the field, Antonio Gibson or Travion Henderson. They're coming around like it's a reverse, but they just hand the ball off to Ramondre
and then the defense
Stevenson.
is all run.
Everybody after the first one where Gibson got it. So what Josh McDaniels has always been special about is he figures out his personnel, what each guy is best at, and then puts them in position to succeed. So that shows up with the tight end screens. That shows up with the play action hitting. We saw for years Gronk right over the middle. Hunter Henry has kind of filled that role. And what I thought was really good, too, was Stephon Diggs. I think he had his best game of the season last week. On the outside a little bit, but a lot more in the slot of being able to work the middle.
I'll ask you a question. So I think one of the things that struggled, as Buffalo defensively has struggled so much with this past couple of weeks, is like eye discipline. When it comes to those different personnels, the 2 tight ends, the 2 running backs, the pony, they love to live in nickel, Buffalo defensively. Does that change at all?
Yes, and it has changed for Buffalo. I talked to McDermott about this last week. As the trends have changed, and you've talked about this a lot on this show, you and me and Marcus talked about 12 personnel with 2 tight ends. They studied that in the offseason. As that trend is changing, they've changed. They put more base on the field to compete against that. But to your point, the shifts and motions the New Orleans Saints did last week, it really got them, and it moved them a lot, and they ran directly at them.
Yeah. Something to watch out for with this Bills team that we believe is a Super Bowl contender. All right, coming up, the Chiefs and Jaguars face off on Monday Night Football. Troy Aikman will be on the call some Thursdays here on NFL Live. And Troy, the Chiefs offense had its best outing week 4 versus the Ravens. What do you make of the return of Xavier Worthy and the emergence of Tyquan Thornton?
Yeah, Xavier Worthy obviously had a big impact on that game. I think probably the biggest factor in their success offensively was the way the offensive line protected Patrick Mahomes. I felt like he was getting hit a lot through the first few weeks of the season, and he was having to scramble obviously a lot more than what probably you would like to see. The left side of the offensive line is young, but they did a great job. And then Xavier Worthy, as we heard Patrick Mahomes say, anytime you can get a playmaker like that on the field, it just opens everything up. It stretches out the defense. They didn't waste any time getting him involved in the game plan. And Tyquan Thornton on the other side, that young guy's got to continue to get on the field because he's been a highlight reel through 4 games.
Yeah, the Jags are off to what some say is a surprising 3-1 start. If you ask them, they're like, we saw this coming. Some of it has to do with the play of quarterback Trevor Lawrence. What are you seeing from him on film?
Well, I just inconsistencies. I think it's easy to point, maybe it always is, at the quarterback, but he's made some he's made some tough throws. He's been inaccurate at times. He's had some tough interceptions, but he's also had a lot of drop passes. He's done some good things as well. I think, obviously it's in his 5th year. There's a lot expected of him, but it's his 3rd offensive play caller. It's his 3rd head coach. It's early in the season. I anticipate that he's going to continue to get better. He's got good things working in his favor. He's got an outstanding running game. He's got good players around him, and then the defense, the way they're able to turn the ball over. So I think all those things are a quarterback's friend, and I trust that he'll find his groove as we move along.
We were both in Denver this past Monday, watched Bo Nix and the Broncos against Cincinnati. Troy, was this a case of Bo Nix and Sean Payton kind of hitting their stride, or was it just the Bengals defense struggling?
Well, that's that groove that Sean Payton was talking about.
The rut and the groove, yeah.
Fine line between a rut and a groove, but that was pretty incredible. I don't want to take anything away from Denver. Cincinnati obviously has their issues, but that's something you can definitely build on. And for a quarterback, a young quarterback, who was trying to find his way, and now for him to put up the numbers that he was able to last week, and that was a heck of an offensive performance, and you just don't see it that often at this level, at this league. So hats off to him, and then Sean Payton for the job he did calling the game.
I have a surprise question for you from Orlovsky. He wants to know if you want to see some more flags thrown, maybe this Monday night.
Yeah, there's nothing I love more than seeing a lot of flags thrown in a ball game. I kind of made that clear the other night. I think I have in the past too.
Yeah, you do it well, Troy. Speaking of struggling, by the way, we had Baltimore a few weeks ago in a close one against Detroit. Since then, they've lost to Kansas City. Lamar Jackson's injured. How can they get by without him?
Boy, that's a good question. I guess that's why John's the head coach. We'll see what he's able to figure out. But, it got off to a tough start, obviously, week 1 in the loss to Buffalo in a really tight game. That would have been a great way to start the year against a conference rival. And then since then, they just haven't played real good football. I know the injuries, you lose your quarterback, in addition to all of the other great players. Coaches will say, hey, that's no excuse, but it is an excuse. You're not as good when you lose all pro players like they're losing. But, Laura, as you know, we saw them against Detroit a couple of weeks ago before all of these injuries. They were without Matabike in that game. And for whatever reasons, they just hadn't played up to the level that you expect from them. And then now with these injuries, it's only going to get that much tougher.
Yeah, I mean, Troy, as you're saying, it's like their injuries are at the most important positions, too. It's not like they're catching a break.
Great players.
Yeah.
Great players. So no team can really overcome that. Some do, barely, but it's asking a lot, especially in a conference that's as tough as what Baltimore's is, and even within their own division.
Yeah, it's a great point. All right, again, always a treat to have the Hall of Famer Troy Aikman on our show here. We see you on Select Thursdays, and we'll see you.
Hey, and happy birthday.
Well, thank you. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
You guys are making my day here. I don't deserve all this positivity. We appreciate you, Troy. We'll see you in Jacksonville.
You bet.
All right, Week 5 kicks off tonight. The 49ers at the Rams from SoFi Stadium. Now we're just a couple hours away from kickoff. Again, I said this off the top. That stadium is gorgeous. You just can't see enough of it.
Unreal.
Let's stay on this game. Let's build out a play sheet presented by ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Dan, you get the honors of going first. Over under 1.5 touchdown passes for Stafford tonight. I think I know.
You guys put me in a bad spot, man.
No, this is a good spot.
I got to say something bad about him. I'm going to go over. This offense is pass game wise sensational versus zone coverages. We talked about Matthew and his eyes against zone defenders. I also think no Bosa with the pass rush. I would expect them to come out aggressive tonight and try to build a lead and then allow their defense to make San Francisco one-dimensional. I'll go over.
Ooh.
All right, J-Mac, let's go to the Niners side of things. At least 125-plus total yards. That's rushing and receiving for Christian McCaffrey in this one?
Yes, I am going with this one. I look at it for Christian McCaffrey, already over 100 touches on the season. That's receptions, that's handoffs to him as well. It doesn't change tonight. With all of the injuries in the lineup, they have to get creative. Kyle Shanahan finding ways to get the ball in his hands. I think they do that, and if he gets enough touches, he's going to be productive.
All right, look at me, guys. I'm going to go out on a limb here.
Are you going to do your
I'm going to give you Puka Nacua as an anytime touchdown scorer tonight. A little more obvious than Peters had been. Despite averaging nearly 140 yards a game, he has found the end zone just twice this season, but I think he makes his way in there for a score tonight. So there you go. Hey, a $10 bet on our play sheet wins you just over $35. Big money.
So only 2 touchdowns. It's a little dice roll.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean,
makes someone a little money.
He's been so good. He's one of the best receivers in the entire NFL. All right, up next, the guys are going to head to the touchscreen. They're going to show you why Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean are the best cornerback duo